Welcome back to the channel, my brothers, or welcome to the channel if this is indeed your first time. My name's Andy R, and this is the Brotherhood of Men, a channel solely dedicated in getting you men out there a better outcome in your lives. Now, a week ago, I did a video and it was talking about the double standards, the hypocrisy, the sheer disrespect that men have to deal with on a daily basis. And when I made that video, I did say there was probably have to be a part 2 to it. Now, in retrospect, I could probably make 100 of these videos, 200 of these videos, and I still wouldn't really be scratching the surface of the double standards, the hypocrisy and the sheer disrespect that men have to deal with on a daily basis. So this is part 2. Let's get into the video. So yes, part 2 on the double standards that men have to deal with, the sheer hypocrisy and disrespect that men have to deal with on a daily basis. And just like the last video, let's start with relationships, shall we? Have you ever heard this legend? If you can't take me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Now, some woman must have said that once. It went viral, and women just leapt on it. They thought, oh, how empowering, because we're all strong, independent women that need no man. Yeah, you don't need a man, you say, but you're desperate to want one. But that legend, if you don't take me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Just think about the sheer outright gall to say something like that, because you men out there who've been in relationships, you who've been married and are probably divorced now, you men, think about it. When has your woman ever been at her best? Very rarely, if ever, did you get the best. But you have to put up with the worst attitude, the worst dress, looking the worst, the least amount of effort, the bare minimum on a daily basis. Even those women that you work with, you see their attitude, the way that they interact, the way that they talk to men. That's nowhere near their best. And of course, when a woman says her best, what she means is she's made herself up for a special occasion. She's put on makeup, she's had her hair done, she's wearing a nice dress, because you are taking her out to something that you've probably paid for. That's her idea of her best. She's made an effort, probably minimum effort. But you have to put up with months and months and months of her worst, of her emotional, chaotic attitude towards you. But the flip side of the coin is, and you never hear a woman say, I will put up with a man's worst because I expect his best. They actually expect your best every day. They expect you to go to work to earn money for them to spend. They expect you to take them out, to plan special occasions, to plan even a date. They expect you to go the extra mile constantly, above and beyond what they expect. They don't tell you what they expect. You've got to be a mind reader on top of everything else. But you're expected to bring your A game every single time, but they never or rarely bring their A game. And then they have the sheer hypocrisy, the double standard, the disrespect of men to turn around and said, you can't expect to have me at my best if you don't take me at my worst. Double standard, double standard, double standard. Hypocrisy and disrespect constantly. That's just one small example in the dating world, just to get us off, just like I did last time. Start with the dating world. Let's go on to something a little more serious, shall we? Just like last time. colleges, or as we call them in the United Kingdom, universities. They are all universities, but for some reason in the United States they call them colleges, and it's not just the United States, other countries do as well. In all of these universities, as far as I'm able to ascertain, they all have women's groups or feminist groups, outright feminist groups, but they all have these women's groups talking about women's issues and about how bad men are, how men have some inalienable advantage in the world just because they were born with a stick and berries between the legs instead of a taco shell. That for some reason that we've got some unicorn type of privilege given to us at birth, which the absolute truth and the facts do not bear this out at all. But for some reason it's still a myth that gets peddled, and because of that universities actually encourage these groups. Some of them even get funding from those very same universities. Okay, you've set up a group to talk about, like I do in this channel, to talk about men's issues and talk about how men have to deal with so much crap in their life, especially in the dating world. Fair enough, you set it up. That's your preview, that's your little area, you carry on with it. Try and set up a men's group in that very same university and see what happens. For a start, the staff themselves, that is the academic teachers, deans, etc., will frown upon it. Secondly, the women's groups will jump all over it. They want to be heard in your men's group that is just talking about issues that only affect men. They want a say in it. Why? We're not asking for a say in your women's groups. All things being equal, why don't the academic staff support a men's group? But you try and set one up in your university and see the backlash you get. You go to your dean, you go to the department heads and say, you're going to set up a men's rights group that talks specifically about issues that only affect men, like the high self-deletion rate of men under the age of 25, the highest it's ever been, or about men's health. Any issue that is just the absolute realm of men, and it'll be shut down. You'll be called all of the ists and isms. You'll be told that, oh no, we can't have that because it will encourage misogyny, without any irony in their voice. Well, surely the women's group, by that analogy, is going to encourage misandry. And the thing is those are words thrown about constantly at men who show a little bit of masculine energy, show a little bit of independence. And it's done for a specific reason. You see, women nowadays, they don't want men happy. They don't want them fit. They don't want them mentally stable. They don't want you to be happy, because a happy man is very difficult to control. So they want you miserable. They want you unhealthy. They want you mentally unfit and unstable. And to this goal, the whole education system has been doing that to you, wearing you down until by the time you get to university, you're pretty much going to put up with all sorts of nonsense just to get that diploma that you wanted. But don't expect any support, because as soon as you try and set up a group for men, the academic staff, the dean, all of those who are supposedly in authority at that university will try and shut you down. And they will try and shut you down because the women's group will say that you're teaching bad things. You're teaching how to abuse women. Some nonsense, and of course they're already established, so they're listened to. Hypocrisy, double standard, and once again disrespect of men. So that's two small examples, and that one in the universities, that is there are many stories out there of men who have set up men's groups in universities and had them shut down. They're almost secret societies now because the men are so afraid of the backlash they'll get. We have seen talks at universities by visiting lecturers or visiting celebrities to come in and talk about specifically men's issues. And there's almost rioting outside there of protesters, of these screaming harridan women trying to shut down an event that isn't for them, has nothing to do with them, and they should just keep out of that sphere. They've actually closed these events down. Why? What are you so afraid of? You're afraid of men being happy. You're afraid of men being healthy. You're afraid of men being fit, both physically and mentally. These are double standards. This is something men have to deal with on a daily basis. So let's have a look at something else, shall we? Another double standard. Here in the UK, and we're not unique in this situation, we have universal healthcare. Now, I know you guys in the United States, you have to pay for your own healthcare, but Canada has universal healthcare. We're not the only country that does, even in Europe. Now, here in the United Kingdom, women are offered a cervical smear free. At a certain age, they're invited to come in for a cervical smear so that they can catch early onset cervical cancer. Fine, I have no problem with that. They also are allowed free mammograms. If they discover a lump or they get again to a certain age, they're invited to come in for a free mammogram test to pick up any early signs of cancerous cells in the breast, because breast cancer and cervical cancer are the two biggest cancer killers of women. I have no problem with that. But here's the double standard. More men each year die from prostate cancer than both breast cancer and cervical cancer put together. Let me say that again. The amount of women who die from both breast cancer and cervical cancer are less than the amount of men who die from prostate cancer. But there's no free screening, no national screening of men who get to a certain age for prostate cancer. Why is that? Just that alone would make you think of how the free National Health Service in this country, government and scientists who develop these scans, etc., think of men. They literally don't care that you are dying at greater numbers than women from two main killers each year. It's double standards, hypocrisy, and disrespect of men. You can understand why men start to become a little reticent to deal with women when they see everything going in one direction and nothing going in the other. So double standards again and again and again. So we've already touched briefly on relationships, we've already just touched briefly on education, and we've already just touched briefly on health. And each time I touch on a subject, there are many, many different examples of double standards in hypocrisy, and also the disrespect that men have to put up with on a daily basis. Let's touch another area, shall we? The armed forces. Now, for decades, there have been women in the armed forces, but they always took a backroom staff role. In other words, they were the support. In times of war, you needed every able-bodied soldier to go and fight that war. So you were even taking them out of the offices, you were taking them out of the supply chain, the quartermasters, etc., to give them their weapon and take the training that they'd had in the art of war and send them to the front line. But you needed to fill those roles. And to fill those roles, they tended to recruit women. So the Air Force would have the WAFs, the Women's Air Force. The Army the same, Women's Army. The Navy exactly the same. But they would have safe roles in the back room, the day-to-day running, the supply chain, to keep the men well equipped and able to carry on fighting the wars. But over time, women decided, we want to be treated the same as the boys. We want to be able to join the army as a participating soldier rather than the backroom. And of course, when it was first brought to the fore, which was first raised, the generals and the admirals and the Air Force colonels, etc., they were all saying, men and women are different. Women can't fight wars. And they were poo-pooed and shut down and told they were misogynistic and told them they were chauvinistic and all the ists and isms. Until in the end they wore down that barrier that stopped them from joining the proper military forces. But the truth of the matter is that the average man is 30% stronger than the average woman. We have a greater bone density to our skeletal structure. We produce more red blood cells, oxygen-producing blood cells. We have more stamina. This is why men fight the wars, because we can go farther and we can fight harder than women. But of course, women had to instigate themselves into a male-run institution once again with the old we're as good as a man, but you're not, because the facts, data, and statistic of women who now who now serve in the armed forces has backed that out. They collapse because they haven't got the stamina. They can't carry as much kit, so therefore are not as useful, or you have to send more soldiers to get the same job done as you would send men. They also haven't got the killer instinct like a man has. This has been shown in facts, data and statistics on this very subject. So you've brought women into the realm of men to do something men traditionally did, the defenders, the fighters, the protectors, and all you've actually shown is that women can't do it. When we first started, all the barrier was, okay, if a woman can pass the fitness test, can pass the obstacle course, all of the training, just the same as a man, then yeah, come in. All things equal. Very, 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 very few women actually passed that fitness test, actually came through, but they were held up as flag bearers. See, we told you women could do it. So what did they do? Another double standard. They lowered the bar for acceptance of women. Instead of just saying, if you're as good as a man, you can do what a man can do, they said, you don't have to be as good as a man, but we will pay you the same and give you the same role. We will lower the bar for you to enroll. You don't have to be as fit. You don't have to get the same pass mark as a man, but we will still pay you the same as a man, and we will still let you join these platoons, these armies, Navy, Air Force. So they already knew that a woman, or very few women, because there were a few women, you would almost call them elite athletes, were able to pass just the physical test. But they were held up as flag bearers so that a wave of women could come in and jump on the bandwagon who weren't as fit, who weren't as strong, who hadn't got the stamina, who couldn't carry the kit, who couldn't then still be fit at a long march to fight a battle. But the double standards didn't stop there. Once they'd got the women into the armed forces, they then turned round and did another double standards and hypocrisy that said, oh yeah, we'll let you in, but we don't want you on the front line. Why not? Are you supposed to be as good as a man, aren't you? Why aren't you being allowed to be on the front line and face bullets, the mere fact that you might have to put your life down to defend the country? Oh, no. We'll have you at the bases. We'll send you to the war-torn zones, but you don't go out on patrols. We'll have you at the bases, protecting the bases. We don't want you out right in the thick of it. Double standard, hypocrisy and disrespect. Do you think the male soldiers looked at their female colleagues as equals? Of course not. Why would you? When you're going out on patrol, when you've got full body armour on and you know at any moment an IED could blow your vehicle up, or you could take incoming fire, or a sniper's round could take the top of your head off, and you know your female colleagues who are getting paid exactly the same as you, plus the bonus of being in a foreign country, are sitting safely at the base, not facing any of that, you're not going to think of them as your equals. Double standards, hypocrisy, and of course disrespect. But let's go back to the education of men. When a boy starts school at probably around about 5 years old, and a girl says something along the lines of, we can't do that, that's something boys do. How many teachers do you think turn around and say to that little girl, you can be anything you want, sweetheart, you can be the president of the country, you could be the prime minister, you're as good as a boy, you can do anything a boy can do. And even that little girl realised that doesn't sound right, and she might even argue, no, but a boy can do this and I can't do that. And that teacher will keep saying, drumming that message in, you're as good as a boy, you can do anything a boy can do. How many times have you ever heard a teacher say those words to a little boy? You're as good as a girl, you can do anything a girl can do, you can achieve anything. No, they don't. They don't say that because they're always boosting up a girl's confidence whilst talking a boy down. That first time in school, and the boy's got a toy that the little girl wanted, and she hasn't learned to ask nicely, she hasn't learned to play nicely, she hasn't learned to share. So she snatches, or tries to snatch, that toy, that book, whatever it is, off the little boy, and the little boy says no. So the little girl whacks the boy, and the boy turns round and whacks her back. She's instantly in floods of tears. The teacher comes running over. What happened? He hit me. She doesn't say, I hit him first and he defended himself. He hit me. Straight away, that female teacher, because invariably it will be a female teacher, 78% of teachers are female, that percentage goes up the younger the child is. So if he's just starting school, it's probably as high as 84%. She's straight on, you don't hit a girl, you never put your hands on a girl, whoa, boys don't do that, blah, 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 blah. This is the same teacher who was telling the girl she could be just the same as a boy, until it comes to the boy defending himself. And now he's confused. He's probably in tears because he's a little boy. It's like, but she hit me first. That doesn't matter. That's another thing. That doesn't matter. At no point do these teachers say to the little girl, you don't put your hands on a boy, because if he hits you back, it's going to hurt more and you shouldn't have started it. It's always defend the little girl, punish the little boy. So the parents are then brought in. At no point do the parents probably say, well, or if they do say, well, all he was doing was defending himself, and the teacher and the headmaster, etc. look at the parents as though they're an alien, like, no, you're not allowed to defend yourself. So that boy grows up all his life realising that he's not allowed to defend himself against a little girl, a woman, who will attack him. Double standards, disrespect, hypocrisy. All the time. Is it any wonder that that boy grows up to adulthood completely confused? All the time he's been talked down to, while a girl's been told, you can be anything you want. The boy's not told that. If he's lucky to grow up in a two-parent household, he's got his father saying to him, look son, the only way you achieve anything in your life is with these and with this. You think smart, you work smart, and you will make achievements. You've heard me say many, many times that men are the prize, but you have to make yourself the prize, and that's the important part. You make yourself a prize worth winning. By your own intellect and your own hard work, you achieve things. You invent, you destroy if you want, you achieve, you become the prize. Women think they're the prize just because they were born a woman. Just because they've got a coochie, they think it's gold-plated and that they're Superman. But more and more women are starting to realise that this is not the case. They're starting to realise that it isn't how they were brought up, it isn't what they were told. Reality is starting to smack them round the face. But reality is something a little boy has to deal with from day one, all the way up to adulthood and beyond. And we have to put up with the double standards, the hypocrisy and the sheer disrespect shown to men on a daily basis, and it affects every aspect of our lives. Now, you, my brothers out there, leave me in the comment your comments of what I've been saying. Have you dealt with any of this? You don't deserve me at my best if you don't take me at the worst, and you realise that you're having to take her at the worst pretty much on a daily basis for that just one glimmer that you might get at almost best, but you never get the A game. But you're expected to provide, you're expected to produce your A game on a daily basis, and if you just happen to fall short slightly, you're a bum. All men are crap. You're a loser. You're a waster. How don't you dare come to me with that half-arsed sort of attitude. When do we get a day off? You've got a day off all the time. Every day's a day off for you. When do we get a day off? When do we get to relax? When do we get to bring our B game? We don't. Hypocrisy, double standards, and disrespect of men. And it comes down to the law system as well. Laws are passed to protect women's rights without them having to show any responsibility. Rights without responsibility is a bad thing for both men and women. Men only get those rights if they show responsibility. The right to vote, the right to do this, the right to do that, the right to do anything so long as we are responsible for our actions. Whereas women are constantly shown forgiveness, they're constantly shown leniency in the court systems whenever they do wrong. All that does is reinforces a woman's false notion that she has some form of superiority over men. But the truth of the matter is that men run the world. Now notice I said men run the world, not men rule the world. There are many countries, many institutions, many companies that are run by women. But men run the world. We build the infrastructure that has made women the safest in history. We've made it so safe for women that they start to believe that they don't need a man. Now, do you remember a few years ago there was a women's strike? Women were going on a whole day's strike just to prove their point. Hey, you can't deal without me. It basically went off with nobody noticing any difference, which just shows you the type of jobs that women did. Because we didn't care if there was one less telesalesperson. We didn't care if there was one less cashier at the till. We didn't care if there was one less data analyst, inputter, not working at their desk. It didn't affect men at all. It was a huge disappointment, no matter how much the media drummed up attention to it and said, look, this is important, pay attention, look how important women are in the workplace. Let me tell you, if men went on strike for one day, just one day, the whole of the system would collapse. Because men run the infrastructure that women take for granted. And they don't even have the class and dignity to, for once, thank men for making their lives more comfortable, safer, and better all round. They are the safest in history. But they tell you there's danger around every corner. There's a bogeyman under every bed. Oh, if it gets dark, I can't go out. Yes, you can. Nobody's stopping you. You've convinced yourself you're in danger because you've got it so comfortable. Men are the ones who are more likely, in fact, many times more likely, to be the recipients of violent action. But do we say, oh, I daren't go out at night? No. Hypocrisy, double standards, and once again, disrespect of men. So let me know in the comments down below, am I a ranting lunatic who doesn't know what he's talking about? Or are you nodding your head going, you know what, he's right? Let me know in the comments down below. Either way, give the video a like. It likes. If you know somebody who'll get something from this video, another man who you go, he needs to see this, share this video. In fact, share it far and wide. Share it on different platforms that you're part of. Say, this guy is making sense. You should listen to him. Because I want to grow this channel. And the more it grows, the more the message gets out. The more people learn of all of this disrespect, hypocrisy and double standards. The more they learn about how the dating world, women bring the bare minimum they've ever brought in history to the table and expect men to go above and beyond for everything. They expect to be given on a gold platter the outcome they want. Anyway, I'm going to go for a cup of tea. Oh yeah, if you're not already subscribed, come on, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification, that way you won't miss out on future videos. And I have got some corkers coming up. One is about, was suggested by a very nice subscriber of mine who asked about a relationship he'd had that he was healthy eating, and it broke the relationship up because she didn't like that about him. Well, I'm going to do a video for that subscriber. You know who you are. And I'm going to do that video for you because you asked. And I'm your brother and I like to answer your questions. So, if you agree with what I've been doing, if you like the contents I'm putting out, hit the subscribe button if I've earned your subscription. Let's grow this channel, because the more people that subscribe, the more this message gets out. And I want you brothers to stay safe. So I'm going for a cup of tea because, well, I think I've earned one. You, my brothers out there, you take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? Well, I might. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.